his ideological background. Thank you very much. To sum up a discussion is a lot more difficult than you realize. First of all, thank you to Judith and Nadia for inviting me. I will speak only 12 minutes. I hope that's okay. I have to get back to home, to Rehovot. There's a story about a king who had a large palace, a large kingdom. And he also had an extraordinary golden vessel, and he loved it with all his heart. And every day he would offer that anyone who would guard and preserve the vessel and prepare it every morning to be seen would receive a huge treasure, and those who did not do it properly would lose their heads, and many people lost their lives until a very elderly man presented himself. And he managed to reach the gates with the guards all around. And he tried to convince them that he wants to be the guard of the vessel. He said, but tomorrow you could die, you're an old man. And he said, no, I know someone who knows how to properly polish golden vessels. He managed to convince the guards. The old man came, and everyone knew that there was going to be a celebration, and they all gathered in the public square. And the man came, took the vessel, and broke it. That day, people stopped dying, and the most important message is he remained alive. The message is that there are things in nature that you have to cut all at once. You have to make a decision. If we decide among all the various proposals that we've heard, including the last one by Yitzhak Klein, there are not huge disparities between the views we've heard here. But we need to move the discussion in a different direction. I told my friends that I'm in favor of the idea of territory for peace. Gabi Avital, territories for peace, they almost passed out. So I'm an engineer, so I spoke like an engineer. I'm a missile engineer. The whole world is in favor of territory for peace. I also have a lot of peace. Take peace and give me territory. So that puts them in a state of insecurity. But when you start to talk about territory for peace in the opposite direction, and it changes the whole picture. And Rabbi Akiva, you know, it said that when you drip the water on the stone, eventually it will change the face of the stone. We have to start thinking in different directions. There is a midrash in Masechet Shabbat that talks about Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shmuel, who said that the day that King Solomon married the daughter of Pharaoh, it says that Gabriel, the angel, came, and he came to the sea, and there was a sandbar that turned into an island, and that's where Rome was built. 850, 900 years before Rome. We're talking about, you know, when he was 16 years old and he married the daughter of Pharaoh. It doesn't make sense. What is that all about? What it wants to tell you is there are things that you start one day, and many, many years later, the water drips, drips, drips. It doesn't matter what they'll say to tomorrow morning. The very fact that there is talk about the subject, about imposing sovereignty, is the beginning of a good process, and that's how it should be done. Because my role is to sum up the discussion, I must start with my good friend Yoram Ettinger. The first thing I did when I became the chief scientist of the Ministry of Education was I looked at graphs. I'm an engineer, as I said, and I saw graphs from the Prime Minister's office, and about and I don't know how thousands of people saw them, but there were no engineers there, so they didn't know what they were looking at. And the graphs on the x-axis, there's 7 years, and then 6 more of these groups, 7 years. All the demographic changes that have occurred, and what Yoram has been talking about all these years, I could see them there. And I said, Yoram, come here. I said, take Yaakov Peitelston, the demographer. And we produced a report, a study within 3 months. That day, when the Taub Center, Professor Ben David released his study, in 30 years' time, in the year 2040, 78% of the students in Israel will be Arabs and Haredim, forgive me for saying them in the same breath. But I saw a completely different result, 37% in the don't they know how to read the data? Tomorrow in Maariv, there's going to be a whole article on this subject, and the reporter asked me all kinds of things, and I said, go to the Central Bureau of Statistics. It's their figures. And he said, he went to the Central Bureau of Statistics, and he said, how could it's possible that in 2007 you made a mistake for the 3-year forecast? And they said, go to this fellow, an Arab PhD, who wrote the report. And he went to him and he said, I couldn't imagine that the rate of fertility was rising and that the Arabs was dropping. That's the answer of the Central Bureau of Statistics. You understand why I'm not there anymore? That's one of the reasons. And another thing is, I want you to understand that economics is also part of the matter. I have a feeling that some of the National Zionists are socialists deep down. My dear friend, Yoram Bartel, I read you all the time. What Iran says, and he sums up one of the most important anchors of the existence of a Jewish state. But there are a lot of Jewish things, but we can learn from the Goyim too. And that's about Iran and Yoram. And Tzipi Chotobeli, she said we should do it gradually. It said that when you cross the sound barrier, there are these waves that can cause damage, but you have to keep going ahead. I'm not going to decide, it's not my job to decide whether to do it tomorrow morning as if it was possible, or gradually, as she said. It doesn't matter. From 0 to 50, there's a lot of room for maneuvering, but bear in mind, every process has a price. When you eat a sandwich, as you said, Nadra, sandwichim, after that you have to go somewhere to download what needs to be downloaded. There's we are told there is a legend that Israel Eldad, the late Israel Eldad, said in wake of the Alon plan in 75 that he's willing to accept it. So Hanan Porat, our good friend, may he live to 120, wrote an article against him and said the following. Shaiba, Israel Eldad, fell off the ladder, and the ladder is the motto of Israel Eldad. Were we wrong not to adopt the Alon plan in 75? I was in the 11th grade at the time. Didn't we make a mistake along the way? I'd like to chill the atmosphere a little bit. That beyond the ideology and the whole idea of territories for peace backwards, we have to see what we did in the past, how we got to the Oslo agreements and why and Annapolis, and what mistakes we might make in the future. We have to preserve what we have, even if it's difficult. And I'm from Rehovot, it's inside the Green Line. For 13 years I've been living there. And stop being so serious that the whole world is on your back. Be relaxed, be lively, and talk about other things. It's good to hear about that too. I lay on the fence week after week when I wrote articles in Maariv, and I didn't hear anything. Somebody from Rehovot is writing about it like a settler, and I wrote instead of Chagai Segav. Be a little bit more alive. Look at the whole picture. It doesn't detract anything, and it strengthens our hold on Eretz Yisrael. And I'm talking about two banks of the Jordan. Remember, They're both ours. And to conclude, almost, a book that was written secretly, at the end of the book, it says the following. When I dedicate the book, I say, look in the afterworld. In the mount, sometimes climbing up the mountain is difficult, despite the obstacles that will crop up everywhere. At the top of the mountain, in addition to the thin air, we get dizzy. We have to look up and not backwards in order to get, because otherwise it's dangerous. We are on the path of growth. Stop complaining. Say thank God and keep moving ahead. It gives us all strength. Despair is a danger. And our dear friend, the late Arutz Greenberg, once I wrote an article I have almost the same initials as he does, and this is a book I received from the United States today, written in Hebrew by a fellow named Yosef Mazar. And he writes the following. This is about political science. We will live on our sword, and the law is cruel and always speaks of danger. We need to have healthy senses, but we're in the 3 weeks. We always conclude with consolation. 4 verses come from the 2nd chapter, taken off from the 1st chapter, to say joy and happiness in Jerusalem. We can always complain and criticize, but we must always conclude with hope and consolation. That's what I want to say to you. Thank you very much.